Hi, my name is Alexandra Kilworth. Welcome back to Feisty Ferret Business. Before I get started, if you're at all interested in ferret related content, be it art, business or advice, please subscribe and like this video for more of this sort of content. I am joined by my boys who are one's in the tunnel, Squeaker's off eating a treat. So today's video, just a precursor, I'm in the middle of quite a few different flare-ups at the moment. For those who don't know, I'm chronically ill, but I'm having a flare-up, so I'm trying to, but I really want to keep making content, so I'm trying to stick to the easier ideas I have. I have a list of ideas, and this one was one of the least time-consuming ones. So it's a bit lazy, but I want to get something out for you guys. So today's video is actually about what I have learned from having sick animals. So I am mostly referring to Balthazar. If you've been around this channel for a while, which most of you probably haven't, because I've gained a lot of subscribers this year, you will know that back in December last year I had a ferret called Balthazar, and he was only like a year old. I adopted him and back like the beginning of last year, and he suddenly fell ill fairly quickly, and to this day we're still not entirely sure what the issue was. But I've got a lot of videos from December going through the process of like from finding out he's ill to how I was dealing with it and the results afterwards when he passed away. So I'm mostly referring to that, but before my ferrets, I had two African pygmy hedgehogs. One of them died very suddenly, and the other again got ill very suddenly, and I was there when he died. So I have learned a few things from having sick animals, and I want to share them with you guys. Hopefully none of you have to go through this, but ferrets are quite they are prone to illness and injury, and some of this is helpful, but I think some of this will be helpful for you guys if you ever end up in this situation. So here's what I've learned. Number one, trust your gut. You know your ferrets better than anyone. You know their behaviours, what they do, how they act. Every ferret is different. And for me, in my case with Balthazar, he was a very laid back ferret, but even I noticed when he was starting to be really lethargic. He was still playful, but he was very chill and laid back, and I noticed the first sign I noticed was that he was just a lot more chilled out, much more lethargic, but not in a chill way, but in like a doesn't have the energy to do anything way, and that tipped me off because again, at the time that was the only thing I noticed, but my gut was just telling me that something wasn't right, and I kept putting off talking to a vet because I was like, maybe I'm just overreacting, maybe he's just tired. So yeah, trust your gut. You know, if you are at all suspicious that your ferret is acting a bit different, seems different, whatever, you see a vet, because these animals deteriorate very quickly, especially predator animals, because they have to put up a facade so that they don't seem weak. So yeah, number one, trust your gut. If anything seems off, you do something about it. And that leads on to point two, which is act fast. Again, like I said, these animals, like most pets, but especially the ferrets, they can deteriorate very quickly. Balthazar deteriorated in about a few weeks, but like there was a period of time where he went from just a bit lethargic and not eating much to rapidly dying, essentially in like a span of a few days. And with my African pygmy hedgehog Harley, he deteriorated in a span of a few hours. You know, I'm still not sure what happened with him, but he deteriorated very quickly. And so yeah, the moment you notice that something is up with your ferrets, and you're at all concerned, book a vet appointment ASAP. And if your usual vet doesn't have one for a couple of weeks, find another vet. And that reminds me, always have a number for an emergency vet on your phone at all times. Most of us we have a vet, but we don't have an emergency vet that you can get to the moment something's going wrong, and that is so crucial to have at your disposal, no matter where you are. So have a number for an emergency vet and act fast the moment anything seems weird, right? And even if it turns out that there's nothing wrong or it's something really minor, it's better to be safe than sorry, because is not normally a minor thing with these animals. And now that you're at the vet, in this circumstance, you need to save up at least twice the amount you think you need. I had £1,000 saved up for my boys, and Balthazar's vet expenses completely went for it in like a week. Ferrets are very expensive animals, and they are considered, in the UK, they are considered exotic animals. So again, you will need a specialist vet, and may require specialist procedures, specialist meds, specialist vets. So it is all going to be very expensive. And I did a breakdown of the prices of Balthazar's vet costs and whatnot. Again, back when he passed away, because it was a lot. It was a lot more than I was expecting. Because luckily, until then, I had never needed a vet appointment for either of my boys. So however much you think you need, save up twice. Like I said, I thought 1,000 was enough, but it wasn't. So I'm saving up, what's it called, 2,000. 1,000 for each of you. Although hopefully neither of you will need it. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? And while you are saving up, make a support network. It is so crucial that you are not alone during this time, that you have people that can help you, maybe even if it's just for moral support, just to be there while you're going through a difficult time. But also in some ways a practical support network, like if you need to take time off work to take your animals to a vet appointment, or if you need someone to look after the other animals while you take one to the appointment, or have someone with you to go to the appointments. Have that support network, because it will be harrowing, it will be lonely, it will be upsetting, and you need someone there with you, at the very least in a practical way, but also in that emotional support way. So surround yourself with people that care and love you and will be there to help you. And in terms of emotional support, feeling guilt is normal. It's upsetting and you do not need to feel guilty, but it's very normal. I constantly felt guilty for not doing enough for Balthazar, because I couldn't afford some of the tests that the vet recommended. Looking back, it did make a difference. He would have died either way before I even got the results. And based on the results, the tests wouldn't have done anything. It would have just told me the same thing. But I still felt incredibly guilty for not doing those tests, for not being able to afford it, for not spending every waking moment with him. I got up early from before work and came home early from work just to spend more time with him and make sure he was getting food and water. And I felt really guilty because on the day he passed, we had a power cut in the morning, and that was the day he passed. And I felt guilty that he must have been awake or asleep really cold. Even by the time I got to him, I heated him up and everything, but still, he must have been really cold. And it's that constant guilt of feeling like you haven't done enough, or you could be doing more, or you couldn't afford something. It's normal, but again, this is why having that support network is incredibly important. It's not just for you, it's for the ferret as well, or whatever animal you have. So definitely get that network, and just remember these feelings are normal. It's upsetting, but it's normal, and you'll just have to ride it out, unfortunately. I have done a video on handling the guilt after an animal passes away. I'll link it below if you're interested, but hopefully none of you have to go through that, at least not time soon. And the last one, have the essentials on hand. So, for example, Balthazar didn't have the energy to eat solid food, so we had to blend up his food. I made this weird concoction of blended up mince, goose fat, and salmon oil just to get him to eat, because I thought, well, salmon oil will entice him to eat. Goose fat was fattening, the mince, was all good. So yeah, I had a blender on hand. I had a syringe. I didn't actually have a syringe until my husband's mother, so my mother-in-law, gave us a syringe to use when Harley was sick, so I could syringe feed him water. But I still have that, so that is really important, because I also using that to syringe feed him water. Any sort of heated pad or guys. Any sort of heating pad or hot water bottle, anything you can easily just access to keep them heated and or heated up. I've got Also, in the same way, a cold pad, although that's probably not going to be as necessary, but like heat pad, cold pad, syringe, blender. What else? I'd say salmon oil because it will entice the ferret to eat, or at least get their appetite up even if they're not particularly hungry. And always have a backup supply of food, of course. I say, always never go without food, obviously. Water, obviously, but that's what I mean. Just have the essentials on hand. I never would not afford to have a syringe, but the fact that I did have one from Harley meant that I was able to immediately start syringe feeding Balthazar's food and water when he was becoming unable to, do it himself. So yeah, that's all the things most of the main things I learned. Mostly, like I said, trust your gut, act quick, save up, have a support network. Big feelings of guilt are normal, and having basic essentials on board for, whatever situation you are in. It's not a nice situation to be in, and if you do end up in that situation, I hope that your ferret makes it. It's not unheard of for ferrets to get ill and then get better. It happens all the time. But ferrets are very much prone to illness and injury and complications, so it's not an uncommon situation. And I hope that mine don't go through that again. I don't think my heart could take anymore, but yeah, I hope that this is useful to some of you. And if you have any tips or advice for the sort of thing, please leave in comments below. I'd love to hear it. And that'll be all for today. Again, if you are interested in this sort of content, please let me know. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.